Hey guys, so I want to make a video today about serialized cards in Magic the Gathering. So it's been a few years now since serialized cards have kind of joined the fold for Magic, and I kind of want to go through some of the sets and kind of the serialized count for a lot of them, and honestly, my opinion on the value of some of them, and basically where I think it's going kind of in the future as far as like the trend that I'm seeing. So basically, Secret Lair Praetor was that one that came out a few years ago that had that hidden Viscera Seer. It was that backwards printed Viscera Seer, one of 100. Has a different like serialized number printing than the ones we see now, but it was that total surprise that no one ever saw coming, and it was out of nowhere. It was funny because I remember this Secret Lair. I actually bought a bunch of them because the value was so good in the Secret Lair of the singles, it far surpassed the cost. I forget what the actual value of the single was when it first came out, but I think it was 5 cards of the Praetors, it was like $70 or $80 in value of singles off the bat. And it was like a $40 Secret Lair. So it was a no-brainer to open. I think that was the plan of all of it, to make sure people open it, eventually find one of these things to kind of get the hype moving. And I like how they did that because it was a total surprise. I wish they would do that with more sets now moving forward, to have more surprises, I would say, because nowadays, I mean, everything is so we have pre-orders, like pre-release. We have sneak peeks and all these things that come out and previews and all before the set's released, and we basically know what everything is. I really wish they would do some more surprises like that. I would love to see some sets with like hidden 1 of 10s, 1 of 1s in the future. I hope they do. That'd be a cool thing. But that was the first thing that they did for serialized cards with Magic the Gathering, was that Secret Lair. Moving on, the next one I believe was Brothers War, March of the Machines. Those two sets, they went pretty crazy with the amount of serialized. And I think this was a cool thing to bring it out, let people get their hands on them, see that the qualities are fantastic. Generally speaking, they were fantastic. I'm sure there's a few crimps, maybe a few misprints, maybe a couple of off centers, but overall the quality of them were fantastic. The foiling is really good for these serialized cards. And by putting, I'm looking here, Brothers War had 63 cards, March of the Machine had 65 cards, each one with 500 copies. So respectively, Brothers War and March of the Machines, 31,500 serialized cards, and March of the Machine, 32,500 serialized cards. That's a shitload. There's no way around saying it nicely. That's a shitload of serialized cards. I think the way they basically said it was about 3% a pack. So basically every 3 collector boxes, you got a serialized card on average. So if you had a case of 6 boxes, you got serialized cards. I actually heard of somebody that I know that actually pulled 3 out of a case of 6. So you can see that variance a little bit, but overall it was about 3%. So early on with the serialized cards, when they were known to be out to the public, they wanted to make sure they got in everyone's hands. It's a cool collectible thing. Enjoy it. We're not going to reprint the reserve list. So here's something cool that's kind of like a reserve list thing. It's unique, it's special, and you can collect them. The only problem I saw with that is, and I still say to this day, is like I open a lot of Brothers War, a lot of Brothers War on my Whatnot channel. So we do pull serialized cards from Brothers War on I don't say regular basis, but often enough. March of the Machine I've actually had a tougher time with. I did just pull a serialized Elish Norn, which is really awesome, but Brothers War has a lot of serialized cards. Now, I don't think anyone gives a shit about serialized Bone Saws. For example, one card in the set. I didn't look up what the price of the card is, but I'm sure it's like under $100. It's a cool thing if you pull from a pack, keep it in your collection, maybe use it for trade or something like that, or trade it in. But it's not something I doubt many people are going to go out of their ways to collect certain of these lower end cards as serialized. It's cool if you pull it. Otherwise, you're probably not in the hunt for it. But when you talk about cards like Mox Amber in Brothers War, that's a collectible card. It's a very used card. The regular copy is what, 30, 40 bucks. So a serialized card is going to hold a good amount of value. I'm not sure where it is right now. I haven't looked in a while, but I know it's up there. It's a sought after card. Same thing with March of the Machines. Again, we were lucky enough to pull the Elish Norn just a couple of days ago on my Whatnot stream. I posted the video up there so people can see it. Very sought after card. I think someone said it was worth near $2,000. I mean, the card is absolutely gorgeous. I was happy to hold one in my hands even for a minute before I shipped it out, but absolutely gorgeous, incredible thing. So moving forward past that, you can see they started kind of dropping the print runs of these serialized cards, which as we go down the list, it's going to be pretty extreme. Oh, a couple things. First of all, this video will be a little bit longer than normal probably. And sorry, my sinuses are messed up, so you have to listen to me cough and sniff. So sorry about that. Soon after that, we had Lord of the Rings. So Lord of the Rings came out, and this was the huge one where they actually had the first 1 of 1 in Magic the Gathering. The first and only so far 1 of 1 in Magic the Gathering, which was just a crazy amount of hype. awesome marketing tool. I mean, again, when you talk about a one of one, the first one being the One Ring, it was like perfect marketing. I mean, you couldn't think of a better, I don't say scheme than that, but a better thing than that. So absolutely incredible. It was actually pulled before release date, but very cool that was pulled. Besides that, there was three other cards. So they really reduced the amount of serialized cards in that set. 1,900 other cards. I'm sorry, 1,900 copies of serialized cards. Three cards, 300, 700, 900 for what was it, the human, dwarven, elven rings. So severely reduced that. And that being a very high-end Universes Beyond IP they wanted to use, it kind of made sense for them to have it very sought after. They're not gonna, I don't think an IP like Lord of the Rings, they're not gonna allow the prices to tank on a set like that. I'm sure there's a lot of talks behind the scenes with Wizards of the Coast and whoever these Universes Beyond companies they deal with, and they want to make sure that these boxes don't tank and that the value stays there and sought after. So you're not going to have like a moving forward into like Assassin's Creed later on, and I'm sure Final Fantasy later is going to be crazy, but they're not going to have 30,000 serialized cards and a very high-end IP. So they reduced the print run for that as well as far as serialized cards. Lord of the Rings Special Edition came out. Now this one was the hidden one that these boxes have gone absolutely nuts. I'm going to make a video down the road about Special Edition Lord of the Rings in general because that set is nuts and it's not slowing down. There's no way that set's going to slow down for the prices, but 30 cards out of 100. So serialized cards out of 100. I liked this move. I think that makes it a lot more special. When you have a of 500 card, especially again, going back to Brothers War, like the Bone Saws or something like that, honestly, I don't think anyone gives a shit about that. The sought after cards, they do, but all the other ones, I feel like it's just a filler. I feel like they shouldn't have even made them. And I think they're starting to make those moves. So when you go to ones of 100 serialized cards, it makes those cards a lot more special. Again, about a week ago, we were lucky enough to pull the number 11 Sauron poster card for somebody on my Whatnot channel. Crazy hit. I think it was worth like $9,000 for a raw copy. It was the lowest on eBay that we saw at the time. When you have that low of a print run for a serialized card, you're going to have more of a want for it. There's going to be more of a need. I mean, again, less supply, more demand, and the value is going to be way higher. Again, especially those cards are incredibly beautiful. They did a really good job with those poster cards. Every one of them was phenomenal. Moving on past that, we had Doctor Who. Doctor Who. So personally, I've never seen Doctor Who. I wasn't a Doctor Who fan. I wasn't even planning on carrying it for my Whatnot channel, but the demand was so good, people wanted it. I was like, sure, I'll bring some on. After opening the boxes, I absolutely loved them. I thought it was incredible. 13 Doctors, so 13 serialized cards. First Doctor had 501, second 502 cards, all the way up to the 13th Doctor having 513 serialized cards, for a total of 6,591 serialized cards. Again, you see the pattern here, like it's starting to drop a little bit. These are the earlier sets with serialized cards. I think to date, I've personally pulled four. I think I pulled four serialized cards for Doctor Who. One a while ago when it first came out. And the last three I literally pulled in the past 2 weeks. I pulled two third Doctors for one person, and I pulled a 10th Doctor for myself. It was pretty awesome. So we start seeing that trend down of what Wizards have been doing over a year and a half of like the amount of cards they're doing dropping. And then it starts going significantly down. That was in like, what, a year and a half. Then we went to Karlov Manor. This was another one where they dropped the amount of each serialized card significantly. It wasn't quite 100, but each Karlov was 250 of those, and I think there was 6. So 6 cards of 250. I've opened probably close to 100 Karlov boxes in my time. Haven't pulled one yet. I haven't seen a serialized card pulled. It's another one of the Hunt My Whatnot channels. Haven't seen it yet, but I was told that the average is about 1 out of 256 boxes. You get one serialized card. And I think some of those serialized cards, the values are pretty low, again, because they're not sought after cards. And some of them are actually pretty decent, near 1,000 for like, I think the Rakdos and a couple other ones. So again, value of the individual serialized cards, simply like anything else, depends on the need for the card, if people actually want it. The poster cards for Lord of the Rings, there's a couple of them that are pretty cheap for those serialized, well, cheap as far as Lord of the Rings serialized go. But you talk about the One Ring, one of 100 of those, I think they're $25,000, $30,000 because it's a very sought after card. So that plays a big part of it. I think that's what Wizards is seeing is like the first year or so, let's get a bunch of them out to the market. Here's a bunch of serialized cards. They're really awesome. You can get them. It's a really cool feeling. Big dopamine hit when you get a very rare card. Awesome. But now that they've got that out there, let's kind of whittle it down to just some better cards that people are actually going to appreciate. And that's the way they're going with it. Fallout came out after that. All seven of the from the special SPECIAL from the Fallout stats from the game. 500 of each bobblehead came out, so 3,500 cards. I've personally only ever pulled one. It was early on in the set. I think I had like 30 or 40 boxes of it to start when I was doing my show over a course of a month or so. And I think it was like one of the last boxes I had. I actually pulled, I think it was the Luck bobblehead. I forget, but it's on my stream. I'll have to put the short up at some point because I don't remember which one it was. But I pulled one a while ago, and now those boxes are pushing $1,000, and those boxes are not going to slow down either. Fallout boxes will be 1,000 very soon, and trust me, they're going to keep climbing quickly because those are very sought after. Those serialized cards are very hard to hit, and they're beautiful looking. They really are. The quality is fantastic. Modern Horizons 3 was another big jump down. So Modern Horizons 3, only 3 cards printed for serialized. There was the Ulamog, the Kozilek, and the other Eldrazi. Ulamog, Kozilek, I forget, whatever, top of my head. But those are up 250 each. Again, I like that lowering. I think 500 it's a cool amount to see because you can pull them. But at the same time, I want to see like the lower amount. So 100, 250, I think is a good point right now to be at. And Modern Horizons 3 serialized cards are really hard to pull. I was lucky enough, again, I think it was my 17th box I pulled those. I pulled some of the 157 Ulamog on my Whatnot stream. It was so cool, actually. It was their first time in my show. And it was like the first pack I think they actually bought for me, and we pulled one. It was crazy. So it only took me 17 boxes. Again, dumb luck to pull one of those. 750 in the world, and that includes English and foreign language boxes too. People don't really think about that. I'm sure there's a specific allocation for how many serialized cards of each one go to different languages, but they have to make it available. But they're in the English language or whatever language of the serialized card is printed in. But most people don't realize that like foreign language have serialized cards too. So if you only have, and this is a random number, I don't know if how close this is or not, but if you have 750 Modern Horizons 3 serialized cards in the world, and I don't know, is it 10% of the cards printed are in foreign languages? Is it 20%? I'm not sure. But you got to realize all those cards, those serialized cards are in different languages, so they're not in English boxes. So it makes it harder to hit than people realize. They say, oh, there's 750 Modern Horizons 3 serialized cards in the world. Yeah, but in English, there's maybe only 500 or 600 or something like that. So it's actually harder than people realize. That's just extra food for thought. Real quick, Assassin's Creed, another Universes Beyond set. Again, 4 cards of 500. I haven't pulled one yet. I haven't opened a shit ton of boxes. I think between English and Japanese, I've maybe opened like 22, 25 boxes, so not much. I'm hoping to get one. I'm actually doing Japanese boxes on my channel right now because super cheap on the open market for a serialized hunt for a cool set. And you can still get some really cool cards in the set. So 2,000 for Assassin's Creed, again, dropping those amounts a little more. Now we're getting into this year that we're starting now. Aether Drift and Innistrad confirmed, well, they're released. Only one card, 500 copies. That's it. Personally, I don't like that. I think that's kind of a mistake. I would rather see 5 different cards at like 100. I think it just kind of makes it more interesting. A couple of reasons. One, you get a variety of things you can hit, and it makes the card that you get more sought after and rare. I think of 100 is a very good mark to be at. But Aether Drift, actually, again, I was lucky enough. I pulled one of the Aether Sparks on my channel for somebody. It was really cool. I forget what number it was, but it was a very cool hit. In person, absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely love them. Innistrad of 500s, the Edgar Markov. That's going to be a sought-after card for sure. I haven't pulled any yet, but I'm hunting for them. I got a few boxes left. Definitely one I hope I get in the future. So that's where we are now with serialized cards. We're hitting the 1 card per set, 500 copies. It's okay. I mean, I don't know why Wizards settled on that. Like, again, I would rather Aether Spark and Edgar Markov. I guess I can see those because those are like big hits for the set. Aether Drift. Aether Spark is a great card. I think it's going to do well in the set. Radiant Lotus, the other big hit in the set, definitely dropping low. I think that's like a very deck-specific card. So I think the card's like $12 right now. I'm actually glad they didn't put that at a serialized card. So maybe it does make sense to have the Spark be the one for 500. Edgar Markov, again, I guess set-specific. It's kind of a remastered set, so they kind of wanted to showcase this one card that hasn't been reprinted in like 8 years or something like that since, I think it was Commander 17. Edgar Markov was reprinted last, so it was like an $80 card just because of the scarcity of it. Great card, using Commander, obviously, but you only need 1 card. So with that reprint, we knew the price would drop. But it's a good way to showcase the Edgar Markov and have a cool hunt for that card. So I guess I'll give it to him. Moving forward, directly into the near future, I'm looking at, well, Tarkir, Dragons of Tarkir is coming out next month. Again, I'm filming this the 8th of March, 9th, today's the 9th of March, whatever it is. Tarkir is coming out in about a month. And I think they're making that Mox for the Mox that taps for a mana for dragons. Probably the only one serialized card in the set. Again, very like specific, which if that's the way they're going, like it's fine. If they kind of want to do it this one specific card for the set, which is like the big hit of the set, I guess that's fine. That's cool. It's a cool way to showcase the big hits of the set. Fine. I can deal with that. It's cool. But I'd like to rather see like some more lower amounts. Make it like of 100 be really, really hard to hit and very, very sought after. Moving, so if we see this trend from, you can't really count the count for Viscera Seer because that was a special like secret release thing, but earlier sets with 31,000, 32,000 total serialized cards in a release, that's a crazy amount from where we are now, 500, 2,750. So you see over the past couple of years, this is trending down, and they're doing that on purpose, obviously. I saw this a while ago, and I noticed this is what they're doing, and I like that. I think it's a good way to do it. You've got Wizards is doing less serialized cards. They're lowering the print runs. Obviously, that works together based on how hard it is to hit the serialized cards. And the market is kind of going up in general. So the demand for collector boxes is just more and more. The cards are harder to hit. It's going to make the prices hold up pretty well. The only reason I don't like, one of the big reasons I don't like one card as a serialized, if that card's a flop, if Aether Spark ended up being a shit card, then that's really going to screw the whole setup. I mean, as far as like the collectability of it, it'll still be cool to get the serialized card, but not as much. So I think they put all their eggs in one basket. I think that's just a bad move. I think, separate it a little bit, space it out, make a few different versions, a few different serialized cards would probably help. Moving forward, the next two big sets for this year that I'm really going to talk about is Final Fantasy and Marvel. So Final Fantasy and Marvel, it's number one, these sets are going to sell better than Lord of the Rings, period. I'm going to go ahead and say that I think Final Fantasy and Marvel are bigger IPs than Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings. I've seen all the movies, multiple times. I think they're fantastic, but I'm not like a huge Lord of the Rings guy. I've been playing Final Fantasy games since I was a little kid on Super Nintendo, and I love them. Marvel, the Marvel movies are incredible. Anyone that's read the comic books, like there's a huge following that goes back decades and decades and decades. So I think Final Fantasy and Marvel are going to be nuts. The question's going to be is what they're going to do with the serialized cards. We know there's going to be serialized cards in Final Fantasy. They basically already announced that. Marvel, I don't think they announced yet. I'm not sure, but I'm sure there will be. We talked on my stream a while ago when we first heard about Marvel. It's probably like a year ago when they first announced the teaser trailer. And we were always joking that, well, when they said a Marvel set, we assumed a Marvel set like everybody. But it's just like a Spider-Man set. But we thought would be cool is if there was like a one-of-one gauntlets and a one-of-one of each of the stones. Can you imagine a situation where they had just those serialized cards? That's all there was. One gauntlet, one time stone, one space stone, so on and so forth. And the collectability and the value. You'd be talking about cards that are worth, again, like the Lord of the Rings one-of-one ring, a couple $1 million a piece. Like that's collectability right there. I would still like to see like one of 10s, one of 20s, 25s, 50s, so on and so forth. I think though that you can see we're following that trend of going down and having less serialized cards per set. Obviously, that's the plan. Make it more sought after, make it more collectible, make it more valuable while they raise the prices of the boxes. It's a good way to do it. It makes sense. I mean, if you can make it more demand for a card, you can raise the boxes, and it's just how it works. So they're doing that right. The question is what's going to happen beyond that. So I'm really curious to see over the next couple of years how it's going to work with the market. Again, I think multiple cards is the way to go. If they do Tarkir and this Mox is a flop, it turns out to be a shit serialized card, the whole set itself is not going to have that much chase for it. So I would say, diversification for the serialized cards is a good move. But my hope in the future is we see a lot more rarer cards. I like one-of-ones. I think it's cool. But if you're going to do that, have multiple. Again, Marvel, one-of-one stone, I think is just an opportunity staring him in the face, which would be incredible. Because imagine all these collectors trying to get the gauntlet, all the stones together. You could literally put the price tag at, 10 million, $1 billion, whatever you want if you don't want to sell it. I think it'd be hilarious for people and collectors to try to get all of them, but it would never happen. It would never happen. Like, people wouldn't let it out of their sight. So, but with Final Fantasy coming up first, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what we do. Crazy good IP. I think that the pre-orders for Final Fantasy already are nuts. So what was it? It went out for pre-order and like it was gone in 30 minutes, which I think that was a feeler. I want to make a video on that down the road. I think that was just a feel in the market. But either way, it's going to be a home run. There's going to be serialized cards in it. They're going to be sought after. Will they have a one-of-one cloud? That'd be cool. It's tough. Like, you want the one-on-ones, but at the same time, like, you want to be able to get, a copy yourself. So either way, I think that over the past few years with serialized cards, it's awesome. I actually love them. I finally got one of my own. I've actually sent it out for grading. I got the 10th Doctor. I opened for myself, and I'll be building it as a commander deck. Really excited. So it's just curious to see where they're going with this. Will this lead to redemption stuff and artisan stuff? Absolutely. I firmly believe that. But right now, I just want to talk about serialized cards. So we'll see how it goes in the future. I think that they're definitely dwindling it down. They're working their way down to lower and lower numbers. And I would love to see 1 of 10s, 1 of 25s, things like that. But we'll see. That's just my thoughts. I think that they're doing it the right way. I think they're following the right path. And we'll see how Wizards can screw it up in the future. All right, I'll see you guys next time.